Best of r/malicious compliance episode 17. My auto group recently did a big sale. We had some leftover inventory, 2018s, and we really wanted to get rid of them and had come up with some really massive discounts. Like we had a leftover 2018 Jeep Wrangler 4Doctor that we sold for $25k when normally this would easily be in the mid to upper 30s. Part of the deal was we gave away the extended warranty for free. Typically this warranty costs $2,000 to $2,500 per car, but we said as a part of the clearance it goes with the car for free. So we pushed out our ads. We even said in the ad price includes discount for extended warranty. So I get a guy on one of the clearance units and he's like, take off the extended warranty and I'll buy. I explain that if he takes off the extended warranty, he won't get the extended warranty discount, which was 100% of the warranty, and that he'd end up paying the same price. He said extended warranties were a waste of time and money and he wasn't going to pay for it. I then said, well, actually if you buy the extended warranty, you can cancel it and get refunded the warranty and it'd be like you paid $2,000 less. He goes, don't wanna deal with that hassle, take it off. I once again tried to explain, if you delete the warranty, your price isn't going down. He said delete it and he'll buy the car. I chuckled to myself and said, yay, sure, no problem. We took the warranty off the car and sold him the car for the same price as if he had had the warranty, cause the deal was, the warranty was free. He smiled and laughed how he beat us and walked out, actually essentially paying $2,000 more than he had to. And just point this out, part of the clearance deal was if you bought a clearance unit you got an extended warranty for free. If you declined the warranty, well, your price wouldn't go down. It would stay the same. However, if you really didn't want the warranty you could buy the warranty and then get a refund after the fact and actually come out ahead. Thank you. Next. Big Boss told Boss, who told me to move some equipment around in the store. I wrangled some employees and we moved it into the unlit storage room. Morning comes and it turns out that storage room was actually a stock room. Cue a frenzied store-wide effort to move a bunch of, honestly, trash equipment. Store actually opened an hour late because of it. Big Boss tried to write me up. I pointed to the emails where I asked what to do, where to put it, asking if the room was okay, everything looking good. Got away with a please verify with a phone call, subtext being that a phone call couldn't be used as proof. A month later, word passes down the cock from Big Boss to move the video games. Another email chain, how do you want them? I don't care other than they're all visible and accessible. I did verify with a phone call and a follow-up email pursuant to our phone conversation. I moved them so the games all face parallel to the big glass storefront. Not sure if this makes sense, but instead of the back of the machines facing the glass, the sides of the machines did. It was still workable, and showed off the machines a little better than having the dusty backs against the glass. Cue another conversation where they didn't even try to write me up. We just discussed, in excruciating detail, how Big Boss wanted the games. 3 hours of OT later and it was resolved. I have more stories from there. Eat a TLDR. Boss can't communicate. Trash gets thrown into stockroom and games get moved into functional but not desirable positions. Thank you. Next. It didn't happen at my club but at a neighboring club, so excuse me for little mistakes please. I play handball in the Netherlands. In my competition, the second highest of the country, plays a team with a coach who always dresses up in a suit for every game. Of course he also has a matching tie with the club logo because that is the kind of guy he is. The assistants and the physio are just dressed in normal sports trainers wear. I don't know the English name for it. Last week, the referees for the match insisted that the coach wears the same outfit as the other non-players on the bench. This is an official internation rule, but because the guy is well known and has been wearing his suit to almost every game for I don't know how long, most referees don't care. It isn't a World Cup final of course, so these kind of rules aren't that strictly enforced normally. So he had to start wearing a normal shirt for that match to make the referees start the game. During the game he got sent away for comments at the referees, so I don't think they are the greatest fans of each other at the moment. This week, they got the same referee couple again. So, very unsurprisingly, the staff knew they were gonna enforce the dress code strictly. So I guess you all know what was coming. Every member of the staff was wearing a suit to the match, and as a nice bonus, Their team won the match this time. It probably isn't the most extreme form you have ever seen here, but I like the pettiness from both sides here. Thank you. Next. I have a supervisor who does not like me, and likes it less when I get on well with coworkers. Yesterday I was yelled at for having a short conversation with some people from a different area, but all departments work in a big open warehouse together, just in different zones, and today during our pre-shift briefing our supervisor said I want less time wasting with chat. You're not here to talk to each other, you're here to specific task. Okay, no problems. I went to my car, grabbed the notebook I keep in the glove box for accidents, emergencies, etc., and have been holding up little signs to communicate with others. Part of our job is to unload trucks from our loading dock. I made myself up an A4 sign to hang around my neck that says, "Hi, I hope you're having a nice day. Supervisor said I'm not allowed to waste time chatting. Have a nice day." My supervisor is furious. Just after lunch one of the drivers arrived with his own sign around his neck that says, "Hi, any new stupid rules?" Edit. Supervisor lost her bottle and we're allowed to talk again. Just don't abuse it, and don't waste time. Win. Thank you. Next. This was when I was a little kid, but evidently I was a smartass even back then, since my parents like telling this story. I have a big sweet tooth, both then and now, so unsurprisingly a bowl of Oreos being left out is a very tempting thing for me. Mum sees me eyeing them and tells me, "You can only have one," and leaves the room. When she returns, what does she find? Every cookie has a single bite taken out of it. Hey, I only took one. Thank you. Next. Hi folks, long time reader and first time poster. This happened at least 15 years ago when I did a work study in China. China was still in the process of opening up to the West at this point, and had taken the first few tentative steps on her journey from communism towards raging capitalism. Obligatory posting from phone. Native English speaker, I'm bound to somehow screw up all the words and etc. Apologies in advance for what will probably be a long post describing a brief anecdote. I worked part-time in an English school in a medium-sized city in northeast China, and took Mandarin courses in the mornings at a local university. As I was making an attempt at learning the language, I got on well with the school admin, and sometimes got interesting jobs to do, such as, in this case, being the welcome committee for new teachers, where the school would cover the bill for a welcome to China meal. The two teachers in question were fresh off a flight from Australia, and once they dropped their bags off in the hotel we all lived in, I took them to a tea house nearby for morning refreshments and a chat. This tea house, before time tea, was one I went to often to study. There was a door fee which let you stay for up to 24 hours. And which covered all the non-alcoholic drinks you could drink and all the snacks you could eat. Enough background, onto the malicious compliance. The Australians wanted coffee, which I ordered for us. 3 tiny paper cups of Nestle 3-in-1 arrived shortly, causing a couple of raised eyebrows. Each cup contained a small mouthful of coffee. After a long-haul overnight flight to a different continent, this wasn't going to cut it for my new jet-lagged friends. And I called the waiter back to ask if it was possible to get a couple of large mugs of coffee. Bear in mind all the drinks etc were covered by the door fee. This request seemed to blow the waiter's mind a little bit. After a few moments in limp mode, he stammered out that he didn't know if this was possible, and disappeared to talk to his manager. I explained what was going on as we watched them discussing heatedly on the other side of the room. The waiter returned and apologized that he wasn't able to do this. I asked why not. Since we could just sit here all day drinking little cups of coffee instead. He went all deer in the headlights again and went back to the manager. I updated the Australians and we watched things unfold. This time the manager came over too. I had spoken to him once or twice previously and had the distinct impression he didn't like me, maybe on account of me being a white guy in China. He told us pretty bluntly that we couldn't have mugs of coffee, then rudely turned and walked back to his manager booth. I could tell the Australians were about to start making a scene, but I held out a hand for a moment's patience, as I had an idea. Cue malicious compliance. I asked the waiter, who was still standing there, if he could bring a dozen little cups of coffee, and 2 empty mugs. Confronted with a request he could deal with, he immediately brightened, and went off to get what I asked for. I filled in the Australians again. The waiter brought a tray covered in little paper cups of 3-in-1, and 2 empty mugs. I then proceeded to pour all the coffee into the 2 mugs one shot at a time right in front of the oblivious waiter, putting the paper cups back on his tray as they were emptied, then handed the mugs over to my 2 very bemused colleagues. This whole time the manager glared knives at us from over the parapet of his booth across the room. TLDR. Welcome to China, the original land of malicious compliance. Enjoy your stay. Edit. Thanks for the silver kind stranger. Thank you. Next. Edit. Reddit doesn't allow me to change the title of posts. I do not want to cast any slander towards the Home Depot. The title should probably read this: Bob doesn't care about your allergies. This happened about 5 years ago, and I haven't been to the Home Depot in question in a long time. Names have been changed for privacy. In high school, I was working at the local Home Depot as a head cashier. I kept track of all the active registers and made sure things ran smoothly. I held this position for quite some time, 1-2 years, and enjoyed it pretty well. Customers were nice, and my co-workers were mostly craftsmen and gardeners, all with interesting stories to share. Before we go further, let me explain something. I am allergic to nearly every form of pollen. I mean every form. I take allergy medication, but even then, if I am in close proximity to flowers for too long, 30 minutes, I will begin to break out in hives and throw up most of the time. So after about 3 months working in the winter, the spring season was upon us, the worst season for my allergies. One day, about 3 of our garden section cashiers called off sick. They are pretty reliable people, so I had no problem finding people to cover for them. As I come to my manager to inform them of the position changes, my manager looks at me and says, "You can handle the garden section on your own, can't you?" I informed my manager that I could cover it for at most 15 minutes before my allergies flare up and I'll have to leave. He states, "We don't have any documents on file that state you are not fit to work in the garden section, so unless you come to me with a doctor's note stating your allergies, I couldn't give less of a fuck." I don't know who shit in his Cheerios that morning, but I complied, saying, "I want to be sure of what you are asking. You want me to work in a section which is hazardous to my health instead of placing equally capable employees in that section?" Did I stutter? He said, "Okay, sure," I said. I make my way down to the garden section, and immediately my eyes are stinging. I decide that I am going to stick it out for my boss's sake, no matter how shitty my service becomes. The first 10 minutes are pretty uneventful, but then a customer asks me about the rash on my arms. The Home Depot does not care about allergies, I say, as I do not have official paperwork. This customer looks extremely concerned, asking for my manager's name. At this point, I was feeling nausea hit me. I throw up in the trash can at the register, turn back to smile, as well as I could, and say I work under Bob. The customer reassures me that I will be okay, and tells me I should head home. Turns out, this guy, Nick, was a higher up at the Home Depot's regional management and was my boss's boss. So, naturally, I comply with the chain of command and head to the locker room to pack up. As I am packing, Bob comes in, fuming and cursing, telling me I have no right to leave yet and that my shift is not over for another 5 hours. I simply say Nick told me to go home. Bob's face gets redder as he threatens to fire me, saying I was lying, and tells me to go back out. I comply, knowing that I will see Nick on my way out. I pass Nick, still in the orange apron, and he asks me where I am going. I say that Bob told me to go back to work. Nick's expression goes from concerned to furious, as he takes my apron from me and tells me I'll be paid for the full shift and to go home. I come into work the next day to see that Bob's nameplate has been removed from the office. I ask our HR rep what happened, and apparently, after I had left, Nick stormed Bob's office and proceeded to perform an audit on all of his past employee complaints. This guy had been throwing out complaints for the past 5 years. Needless to say, there was an opening for the store management position, and I was given a week's vacation for my troubles. My satisfaction was huge. Edit. I realize now that the title may look like I am putting down Home Depot. That wasn't my intent. I just wanted to recount my experience.